We're honored to have you join us for the virtual tour of Alcy Elementary, and let's go ahead and get the show rolling. We're going to play an opportunity for you to see Alcy Elementary from literally groundbreaking, construction, and then all the way to completion and where we are today. So you get to see all of that play out, and then I'll come back in just a little bit to introduce our panelists, and then we'll dive into the Q&A. So make sure you have lots of questions ready, but we're excited to have you join us for this virtual tour of Alcy Elementary. Andrew, take it away, buddy.
You may release your balloons now. 1, 2, 3. I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid.
We're going to do everything possible to make sure that our kids are nothing but the best and have nothing but the best, because these kids deserve just that.
For that we have each other, and we will rise, we will rise, we will rise, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day, I'll rise up in spite of the age.
So the school was first established in 1965. At that time, the school was just a basic, standard school with classrooms. The capacity was 450 students at the time. At any school that's been torn down, the community, the ones who have already went to the school before, the ones whose grandkids have went to the school, they definitely had some, they raised a fight. They had some strong concerns because of why are you taking this school out of our neighborhood? So I think it's amazing that the community is really vested in the school. And like I said, when they fought for the school to come back, it came back, and they've reached out to me on a number of occasions saying, do you need some water for the kids? What do you need? Can we come and volunteer? All of that. This community is amazing.
It is always frustrating when you hear about a change that's happening, but I say, stay the course, because the reality of it is the changes that we're making is for the betterment of community and for the betterment of our families.
So what 21st Century does, it takes learning all over the building. No longer will kids be bound to being in a desk. No longer will kids be bound to sitting inside the classroom. They can learn independently outside the classroom in the think tank pods. They also can learn in the amphitheater.
As far as the community was concerned, that this would be a better place for all our children. And we are so grateful to everyone that helped to save Alcy School.
Look around you. This is truly what Reimagining 901 is about. As a community, we're stronger together. Coronavirus will not and did not defeat us, because we're 901.
Welcome to Alcy Elementary School. welcome to Alcy Elementary School, the second state-of-the-art 21st century school in the state of Tennessee. Won't you come have a look? So I had this mural created to merge the three schools together. You'll notice Chargene here on the right and Magnolia on the left, and comes in the middle to make Alcy, because now we're all one school, and you'll see the Memphis Bridge merging the two schools together. And this is our media center. So in the media center, you will notice that there are flexible seating. You will see a variety of colors that's put together to really entice the eyes. In here, you'll also notice that the lighting is special, it's LED lighting. You'll notice in this space that it is equipped with a big screen for, of course, faculty presentations as well as student presentations. We also have individual spaces for students to be able to come and study and take assessments. You'll also notice that it's equipped with several computers for students as well for intervention. So let's walk to the art room. Good morning, Miss Upchurch. Good. So this is one of two art rooms. So in the art room, you will notice once again there is equipped with LED lighting, but also this room is very colorful. It's an art room. So you'll see purple, reds, orange, greens in the flexible desk. The desk can be put together for collaboration as well as separated for individual or very small group. Here at Alcy, we believe that kids should be stimulated, and one way to do that is through the use of color. That's why it's so impactful here inside of the art room. So now we're in the cafeteria, and in the cafeteria, one thing that sets us apart is the sound boxes that you'll notice throughout the cafeteria, and that's really to help with the acoustics and the sound effects here, because in the cafeteria, it's equipped with a magnificent sound system. Pandemic, we've had these new state-of-the-art digital hands-free water dispensers installed. So in this area here, we've created this space, so if teachers wanted to get out of the classroom and teach their scholars, this is where they would do it at. So it's equipped with royal blue soft seating and a Promethean board, so instruction can continue. So let's take a trip up to 4th and 5th grade hallway. 4th and 5th grade hallway is distinguished by purple, the color purple, dark purple, and lavender. And so this end is 4th grade, and to the other end is 5th. So this space here, the 5th grade teachers set it up for their scholars to be their VIP data lounge. So there's certain criteria that the students are able to earn throughout the week, and then they get VIP badges, and on Fridays they can enter this room and they can get some treats. They can watch movies, have popcorn. So it's definitely an incentive to have your grades up, to come to school every day, as well as to behave. So you'll notice throughout the building that there's a variety of colors on different hallways. Here in this space, we have yellow, the yellow hallway. That represents our 1st and 2nd grade. Aqua and orange hallway, which represents our pre-K and our kindergarten scholars. And then the purple hall is 4th and 5th grade. And again, that's for stimulation. We want our kids to come and have a happy place to learn. Also, you'll notice in some classrooms, we have what you call blossoms. These are collaborative seats as well. They can come, push that out the way, use this as a desk space so they can work on a variety of different projects together. And all the hallways have furniture that represents the color of that hallway. So the yellow hallway, as we walk down, you'll notice that the flexible seating there is aqua and yellow as well. And this space here is our group activity area where we can display student projects. Students can come out and collaborate once again. All of the spaces are for kids to be able to collaborate and to discuss and work on projects together. Over here we have where it's set up like a cafe, so you can have some partners to have a debate, have some type of discussion, and again to work on some kind of collaborative instruction place for them as well. Okay, so in this space here, this is our pre-K and our kindergarten hallway, but this particular area here is for us to be able to entertain parents that come, also any guests, and also a space where teachers can collaborate and they can have lunch here as well. So these are some of our second grade scholars who are engaged in high level instruction. Their teachers actually are literacy laureate. Friends, there you go. Well, this is one of two of our playgrounds. As you can see, it has this nice awning to protect our students from the sun. All grades can come out and use this equipment, which is attached right in front of our gym. Last but not least, we want to show you our gym. And as you can see, there is a big open space, enough space for kids to be able to play basketball. They do exercise rotations here. See all the beautiful flags that the coaches put up to represent different colleges, so our students will know that they're scholars and that they are able to attend college. Thank you so much for touring Alcy Elementary School. I hope you have enjoyed viewing our beautiful campus.
Awesome job by SES, amazing. And Principal Tate did amazing on that tour. So a big round of applause for the team at SES and for Principal Tate. All right, so let's go ahead and have the panelists turn on their cameras and their microphones, and we'll introduce them. With us, we have Michelle Robinson McKissack. She is the board chair with the Shelby County Board of Education. She's in District 1. Miska Bibbs, board member, District 7. So Alcy Elementary is in her district. So that's her homegrown school right there with the Shelby County Board of Education. We have Dr. John Barker, Deputy Superintendent, Strategic Operations and Finance with Shelby County Schools. Dr. Angela Whitelaw, Deputy Superintendent, Schools and Academic Support with Shelby County Schools, and Dr. Laquita Tate, Principal of Alcy Elementary. So, as I mentioned, we have a lot of very smart people, a lot of doctors in the house. So we are honored to have our esteemed panelists join us. And let's start out on your end, Miska, because I think when you talk about bringing the community together and doing this in a very unique way, there's a lot of cool storylines of merging schools and cultures and all of these that kind of have to come together. So give us a little background before we even get to Alcy Elementary and where we are today. Give us some of the background for getting there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeremy, for having Alcy Elementary here today and just this whole concept. You know, one of the things that I think is really important about the video, and it gets me every time, Dr. Tate did such an outstanding job of touring the school, it's just you're bringing in several different communities together. I will say I originally had the conversation when it was our former superintendent, Dorsey Hobson, and we had a one-on-one. He was like, hey, we got to, you know, this is the plan. You know, we got to think about how we're going to make this happen. And the first thing that came to mind was definitely when you're bringing Magnolia, Chargene, and Alcy together. 3 different school communities. For me personally, I had definitely constituents from all 3 that were going to let me have it around why we have to do this. And, you know, I think about Magnolia in particular, because that's the school in which my father attended. Alcy, the old Alcy, as we come into the new Alcy, that is the school that my son's father attended and a lot of my cousins. So, and really great friends. So then we talk about Chargene. I remember the concept of it when I've several principals that I have really great relationships with. So I've been in that building so much and, you know, building relationships with family. All 3 of them together talking about, well, why do we have to do this? A little history about Alcy itself is just, and it was mentioned in the video, and I think Dr. Tate mentioned this, at one point as a board member, I was fighting just to keep it open. So to go from fighting just to keep it open, now to be able to have a close to a $30 million investment in the community that raised me is just a phenomenal point to be able to be at present day. A lot of school meetings, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of community meetings, a lot of neighborhood association meetings, a lot of phone calls, a lot of people pulling me to the side and sending messages to me through other family members around. Now tell me about this again. You know, I always use the conversation that I had with my father around it, because for him, that meant his world changed, because that was what his history was. And for him to know that changing the history of how he grew up, when you think about where Magnolia is now, present day, and what the new Alcy looks like, I remember him driving by the school and then sending me a message saying, well done. And that to me sticks out because that is the type of conversation you have. My great aunt still lives across the street from that school. I remember like calling her and checking on her, and she was like, oh, I've made the construction people my friends. Oh, we're ready to roll over here. It's happening. And she is over 80 years old. And to know that her and her friends were also a part of what this building looks like present day is just, I'm honored, humbled, and just excited to be able to leave that type of legacy under my watch.
Awesome. So for those who have questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, or as I mentioned, you can text them to me. The number is 901-616-1981, and we'll start incorporating the questions as they come in. We've already received quite a few. I'll incorporate those. Let's talk though, and I'll throw this to John and Angela, but when you talk about Reimagining 901, give us a little bit of a context around what that is. As I mentioned at the onset, at the beginning, it's opening access to all students and giving them access to opportunities and these learning opportunities that go along with it. And so it's kind of reimagining the way that we go about providing education. But give us a little context around the larger scope of Reimagining 901, and then we'll talk about how Alcy Elementary fits into that. So Angela, John, I know you two are the tag team duo, so I'll let you kind of figure out who wants to go first.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'll start and then I'll kick it over to John. This is definitely part of that Reimagining 901. If you all can remember, and I just want to remind all of our stakeholders, we have 3 pillars: reimagining education, reimagining schools, and reimagining communities. And when I think about Alcy Elementary, we did just that, along with our great principal that's there. For example, when you think about reimagining communities, I think that board member Bibbs stated it in a very elegant way, that we took 3 communities and we joined them together and we were able to put them under one roof. But that was important. But what was more important, what was going to change when students got to this new place, right? So it was the education. So finding a principal that could take that education to the 21st century level, we needed that type of energy, that type of a visionary leader. And then when you think about reimagining schools, it had to be a new building, but not just a new building. What we want to see inside of that building. And John can tell you, even though we're similar to Parkway, there are some things that are different. But it all started years ago, just going to Joplin, Missouri, just to see what their schools looked like. And we didn't know that we were going to be calling it Reimagining 901. And Ms. Bibbs can tell you, we just knew that at that moment, we needed something different. And then getting the board behind us around Reimagining 901. So in a bucket, Alcy is the prime example of what can happen when we think about schools, when we think about communities, when we think about education inside of that building. So it was well worth it. When I go over to that school, I'm thinking about all of our students. All of our students need that type of access. And that's where we're going to be out here in the next couple of months, next couple of years, begging for people to get on board and to help us make a dream come true. Because when you walk in that building and you go to all those different pods, it is something unbelievable about the work that's happening. So I'll kick it over to John.
Yeah, John, I want you to elaborate too, in the sense of, before we even started this webinar, John and I were talking about how the first one is the hardest one, because you have to get all the stakeholders to buy into a vision that's not concrete. And yet once you have the first one and you get the wow factor, and it's like, whoa, wait a second, this is what it is. Then all of a sudden you have an opportunity to carry that momentum forward. So John, take it away from there.
Yeah, Jeremy, good morning, everybody, and thanks so much for tuning in. And just to elaborate on what Angela said, and to talk a little bit about that vision, first you got to start with, you got to have a champion, and Miska Bibbs was the champion. because there has to be that sense of urgency. There has to be the sense of that we can do this. And, I think anytime you start about, movements, that when you point to one particular kind of thing, you think like Woodstock, for example. Woodstock was kind of a generational kind of thing. Yeah, but there were things before it and there were things after it. And there was like, but when you point to something that's kind of the bellwether, if you will, in the midst of what's going on, so Reimagining 901 is a concept that Superintendent Ray has brought forward, that this board has echoed and amplified, that Angela and I have been out on doing road shows. And what's really at the heart of that is, as Angela pointed out, this notion that we're rethinking the way that the school system should be. Now, we didn't know that COVID was coming along. We didn't know that there was going to be this opportunity. We didn't know that there were going to be ESSER dollars. It's just that under Dr. Ray's leadership and the zeitgeist is such a wonderful word. It's got a lot of letters. It's all kind of weird in Germany kind of thing, but it's the spirit of the times. And I think it's just the right way to put this, that the zeitgeist that Ms. Bibbs and Superintendent Hobson and the prior board and the context, you've got these three schools, and where Angela and I have talked about, these are combinations. A lot of times people talk about, consolidation. Well, consolidation gets this really wild reputation. It's like, we're going to consolidate schools. And you've seen this across the country, that what you're doing is you're combining schools, you're combining community, you're combining educational efforts. And as you saw from the video, that's an amazing opportunity. Kudos, Dr. Tate. I've seen that video, but every time I look at that, it's like, that is awesome. And what you have to have is you have to have a catalytic leader like Laquita Tate. So all these things coming together. Now, I'll use this because Jeremy and I were talking about, I've got to use the superintendent's analogy because it's really, really important. And I think it's going to be indicative as to where we're going to be moving in the future. What superintendent said was, oftentimes, I know I've had it happen at my house before, that you look out in the yard and you see maybe 3 cars or 2 cars of really kind of questionable integrity, fidelity, that's out there. And what superintendent has said, and it's just such a really great metaphor, great imagery, that it's better to go ahead and say, okay, we got one that looks good, but doesn't necessarily have a great engine. The other has a great engine, may not look all that great. What about putting those together? Doing the work that has to happen and get you one great, reliable car. And if you see that and see that combination process coming together, that really looks like a great metaphor for what we're doing with Reimagining 901. As we said, Angela and I have been out on a road show. We're going to continue that in the next week and over the next several weeks as well. And we're going to bring back to the board that next piece of Reimagining 901. And what we're saying is, does it really come to, for a quick example, does it really make sense to bus children all the way from the Dexter neighborhood out in Cordova, all the way to Shady Grove? And what it takes is board members like Ms. Bibbs and our new wonderful chair, Ms. McKissack, whose leadership is going to be awesome through these times as well. And what we're going to do is come forward and say, let's rethink the way we do what we do. And we just hope to be up to the zeitgeist and the spirit of the times for this moment, as well as those before us have been.
So we'll switch over to Principal Tate in just one second and dive in deeper into Alcy. But Michelle, for you as the board chair, give us a little bit of your vantage point. As John is talking about creating this momentum and taking the spirit of the times forward, talk about kind of where this falls in on your end in terms of building momentum and carrying that forward. And you come from a different vantage point too, in the sense of not only you as board chair, but also your media background. So when you look at the media side, the storytelling side, being able to share the story of what this means, give a little bit of your vantage point.
Jeremy, I think this is about hope and providing hope for the entire community here in Memphis and in Shelby County Schools of what is possible if we all come together. Miska was talking about community and how this was truly what birthed her, so to speak, in terms of all of her family. The same goes for me. I mean, this is my hometown, and Magnolia Elementary was a school that was in my school district. And so I also got those phone calls of folks who were concerned about, we're losing a whole generation of history. And I said, you know what we're trying to do is create this new history for this new generation of possibility. And at Magnolia, with a wonderful history, I had a cousin who taught in that school until the day that it closed its doors. And to know that what we're trying to provide these children is even more. When Magnolia first opened its doors and it was shiny and brand new and it was wonderful, and it just was time for it to go to another level. And so by bringing these schools together and having them come together in the new Alcy Elementary under the leadership of Dr. Tate and all the support system, now you not only had just one group of people, you have 3 communities coming together to say, we're going to support these children. And what we're trying to tell to our greater community is that this is what we want for every child within Shelby County Schools. Every child deserves this. We want to bring the spirit of this into every building, whether we create a brand new building or somehow reinvigorate and bring elements of the 21st century learning into each school building. So because that's what you want. I mean, we want to have every brand new building, but as a board member, what I'd like to see is to bring the spirit of that. And how can we infuse funds into each and every school to bring that 21st century learning to school? So that as my role as chair and with a little bit of old fashioned background in media, it's just, I want to bring that perspective and share that dream of hope for every child. And I think everyone can agree to that we want children to have hope for the future.
Absolutely. I hope everyone can see the award sitting on the side there too on your end. That's nice. And I think we're going to come back and touch on a number of things that you're talking about. One is culture and opportunities. And so we're going to touch on those as we come back. Let's go ahead and switch over to Dr. Tate. And, as John mentioned, a catalyst, a catalytic leader. And so I think a really cool opportunity when you talk about students, all students deserve world-class opportunities, world-class access. And that's really what Alcy Elementary is providing. It provides world-class experiences and access and opportunities. And so Principal Tate, on your end, start out by just talking about what you see with the kids, because when they come in and talk about the big smile on their face and what's been their reaction to Alcy Elementary.
Oh yeah, well, the kids here absolutely love the building. The parents love the building. So it's very colorful, like you all saw in the video. And of course, as soon as they walk in the door, now they see the beautiful mural that's merging all of the cultures and the schools together. So they jumping out the car, ready to come into the school building. They know it's going to be clean. They know they're going to have a welcoming environment because we're standing in the hallways, greeting them every single morning. I'm opening up car doors, greeting the parents, building those relationships. And so when they get out the car, they're ready for the day. And so they are blown away with the colors. They've been keeping the building clean, like helping us keep it clean. We haven't had any, like at home, the kids want to write on the wall. They're not doing it here because they want to come into a clean environment. They want to come into the space and it feel welcoming. They want to take care of those soft seating things because they like moving. They like it. They know it's theirs. And we let them know this is your building. This is your classroom. We don't own this, you all do. So let's help us take care of it. And they do, but they're always happy and eager to come to school each and every day. And so that makes me proud that this is the environment that we're setting for them.
That sense of ownership is powerful. So I love that. That's a great aspect. One of the partners in this production is New Leaders. You're a New Leaders alum. For those who don't know about New Leaders, how do you describe New Leaders in your experience?
So with my experience with New Leaders is definitely an organization or a program, if you will, that helps prepare you to enter into maybe some tough situations. It helps you build your skill set around different scenarios, different situations that you may encounter, and just helps continue building you as a leader so that whatever comes your way, you're able to deal with it.
How has New Leaders helped prepare you, either specifically with some instances or just in general, but how has New Leaders helped prepare you for what you're taking on with Alcy Elementary?
Well, one of the things, so when I was in New Leaders, one of the things I had to do, like we had to do different activities to kind of help build our skill set. So I would take different groups of teachers to work with them around PLCs. We would look at curriculum. We would talk about the curriculum. We'll design lessons together, and then I would do follow-ups. It's the same thing I'm doing here. So the learning I got from that, coupled with what I got from professional development with Shelby County Schools, I'm able to take those same skill sets and build my teachers and help them to grow and learn. Another thing with New Leaders, it helped around data. Like they did a lot of talking about data, a lot of activities with data. And again, I'm still using those same tools, those same resources to help impact the classrooms. Like we're talking about data, we're looking at assessments. When the assessments come back, we're looking at specific, drilling it down, getting very granular so that we're able to intervene and help our kids to continue to move and grow. So the things that I gathered from New Leaders, again, with SCS, the professional development, because it all is all information that's helping build my skill set, as well as I'm imparting that on my leadership team. And so we're able to take all of those things to help move the school and to impact the teachers as well.
This will lead us into a broader conversation for all of you focused around the culture side, but for you on your end, Principal Tate, give us, and it can be specific or once again, kind of broad, but when you look at the signs of going in the right direction, the signs of improvement, give us some of those data points, whether it's student achievement, teacher retention. What are some of the things that you're seeing as positive movement on the data side?
So data side, I would talk specifically about teacher morale here. So my teachers are absolutely phenomenal. A lot of them I've known for 10 years. From the previous school I was the principal at, were able to come with me here at Alcy to continue the work that, we do for children, period. So it doesn't really matter what community you're in, as long as we're doing the work for children, because that's who it's about. So teacher retention has been absolutely wonderful. I am proud to say that I haven't had any teachers to leave me. They are staying, they're staying with me. They believe in the work that we're doing. So definitely teacher retention is very high here at Alcy. The teachers enjoy coming to work. I have teachers. So we have STEP team, we have a flag team. Flag team just started, STEP team just started. We got majorists and drummers. We just put on our first play. We have a 5th grade choir. So the teachers that are here actually want to bring activities and things to our kids. So it's not just all about instruction, which instruction, of course, is number one, but we also want to have those extracurricular. Oh, and we have cheerleaders as well. So we also want to make sure that they have those extracurricular activities coupled with instruction. So it's not just about them coming from 8 to 4:15 to give instruction, but I'm staying after school so I can make sure that we are putting on this production, that we're practicing with the students and so forth. Even we have tutoring after school as well. So I have teachers that are staying for that, tons of teachers. So they want to be here, and they want to be here for this community and want to be here for the students as well. And then our data is improving as well. So we know that what happened last year with COVID and all that, that's in the past. We're moving forward. And so wherever we started, we're making sure that our kids are growing, whether we're intervening, doing that first good tier 1 teaching, and then intervening on their behalf so we can make sure that they are growing under our watch and under our instruction.
Last question on your end, and then this will shift over to the broader. This is one that came in, and we'll start with the school first, but it's how has the culture changed in the school and across the district? So we'll let you kind of wrap up on your end with the culture change in the school, and then we'll let everybody comment on the district wide. So what's been your experience on the school culture shift?
So of course, when I first came in, we came in last year, sitting outside on the awning, because when we first came in, the building wasn't quite finished. But my leadership team, us and some teachers, was sitting outside, making sure that any parent that came by that needed some assistance, that they were getting help. So even though we couldn't come in the building at that time because construction was going on, we were still making ourselves available to them. So that was the first thing that they were seeing, as well as the neighbors would see and come over and check on us and just speak and ask how everything was going. So we were starting those conversations to build the relationships with the people in the community, as well as the teacher, as well as the parents, because I wasn't the principal of Magnolia. I wasn't the principal of Chargene. So I didn't know the kids. I didn't know the parents. some of the numbers we were given were not, the parents no longer had those numbers. So we were trying to do a lot to try to just let them know this building will be open for school when it comes, when school starts back last school year. And so that started building those relationships and building the culture. And then once we actually opened the doors last March for the kids to actually come in the building, I had over 60% of our kids actually in the building. Like they wanted to actually come in the building, be in the building, and the parents would come in and they just, you feel it this building and the staff, I really have high morale here, very high morale, we're very positive. I mean, we like to be together. Like, so once a month outside of work, we're getting together, we're doing dinner, we're doing something together. We may be doing a potluck because we have got to have that family atmosphere here within us first, so that we can have those same type of relationships with our parents as well as our kids. So when you walk into the door, it's like a hug. I actually had a sub that came over here, and she's always want a sub now. And she's only been here, she came the week before Thanksgiving, was her first week. And she actually bought me a gift because I stood there and talked to her. Like she said, she appreciates just me holding a conversation with her. But that's how it is in this entire building. Everybody's like that. So we're willing to work and help with everybody. So the parents have now gotten accustomed to our structure and how the building operates and how we do things. I mean, and it is seamless at this point. Like, it's seamless. My leadership team and I talked about it the other day. Like, we had to do some backwards things to try to make sure they understood that you come in the office first. This is how the chain goes. But once they got that down packed, it is smooth sailing at this point. So definitely culture is high for me because I don't want to be in an environment that's negative or toxic. And it's you walk in the door, you automatically know that's not what you're gonna get at Alcy.
Well, and I think, it's great to be able to, through technology, be able to still have a connection and do everything that we're doing through technology, but there is an energy of being there in person. And I think, so much of success, and especially within education, it's relationships. It's relationships with the teachers. It's relationships, obviously, with the students, with the community. When the students feel like they're valued and they're respected, they don't want to let you down, so they're going to try that much harder. Like, everything centers around relationships. And so I love that you're talking all about energy and relationships. Let's carry this conversation now to a bigger picture and talk about culture shift within the district. John and Angela, once again, let's kind of start on your end, and then we'll talk about what the community is seeing as well with the board. So Angela, John, what's your kind of vantage point at the district level about the culture shift?
So glad, Jeremy. I think that Principal Tate did an awesome job in walking us definitely into this conversation. Her energy, her passion, and just her love for children. So I'll say a couple of things. I think that she's right. I think that you're right that getting back into the building, we needed to do that for us because John and I both from old school and out also, even though Miss Bibbs may not be in our age range, she was around when we started talking about relationships. And John and I, we love people. And Miss McKissack can tell you, we love people, we love talking, and that's our goal. And what I will say that even through our confidence survey that we got the results and we reported to the board, that people still have faith in us. And we know we still have a lot of work to do because we want that energy that Ms. Tate is showing to be across the district. And so not just in places, not just one or two schools in Ms. McKissack's district, not just one or two schools in Ms. Bibbs' district, not just one or two schools in other board members, but we wanted to be the SCS way. So I think I know we're moving in the right direction, but it is hard because I think that through the pandemic, we've learned how to be at home and teach. And now we're learning how to teach at school and with just a revolving door of what's happening. So I think it's new ground for us. It's new ground of expectations. It's new ground for building a culture and climate that I like when Dr. Ray, when he really emphasizes having grace. So that's a new word. That's new territory for us, because I will say this, even though John and I are people, uh, there are just some expectations that we have. We're hard hitters about the work. And so even for us learning grace, what does that look like? What does it sound like? So that's the new word for us, is grace. That when you walk into a school and you may not see what you want to see today, first you ask, how can I support you? What do you need? And then we come back and check. So, and I'll let the board members chime in. And John, are we there yet? No. Are we making some improvements? Yes. And the way that we're doing it, that all of us, the new word for the district, grace, that we have to show. John?
Yeah, and so just to pick up on that theme just a little bit and talk, I just want to say, that we're still in the middle of a pandemic, or at least I hope we're in the middle of the pandemic, because if we got two more, maybe we're on the end part, but we're not done with that yet. And I think as Angela's talked about, we've had conversations with people, Jeremy, and they're like, okay, well, what were your scores last spring? And the answer is, let me just contextualize that for you. You know that we're in a pandemic, right? Like, you understand that there were children who were taking instruction at home. Dr. Tate, I love what you said there. Look, the idea that we talked about this when we were over at the school, that miraculously and through that great culture that she built, 60% of students came back to in-person at Alcy. That is very different, Jeremy, everybody, than what other schools saw. So, across the board, it was between 25 and 30% overall. And when we went to Alcy, it did, it's not surprising that Dr. Tate and her team did that, but it was unusual. And I think what we do is, sometimes get caught up as human beings in our, rush toward normalcy, a rush toward a return to something that's like, and so we've talked about these data for an example from spring 2021, like there wasn't anything else going on. It's like, that's totally nuts. What we know is that there has been learning opportunity. A lot of people talk about is learning loss and kind of stuff. Students are hurting, families are hurting. We've got incredible trauma across the district. What we've done, and this board has been extremely supportive, and we deeply appreciate them and the community as well for supporting our trauma-informed work. Our reset rooms had a great conversation even last night, but had people from met with County Mayor Lee Harris just recently. He had heard about these reset rooms, and what happens in reset rooms is across all of our schools, there's a room that's designated for students to take that time out that they need under the guidance of a certified SCS team member who's there with them, who's really kind of, that. So what I just want us to do is just make sure, and to amplify what Dr. Whitelaw says there, that idea of grace, what we have to first learn is to give it to ourselves. It is not a normal time. It hasn't been a normal time. If you feel great, if you feel normal, if you feel pre-2019 normal, great on you. That ain't me. That's not where I am, and that's not where a lot of people are. And I think what we've done is say, culture, climate, we're really trying to get to that. And what I want to do is just last thought on the idea of the SCS way. So it spells out CARES. CARES is the acronym, but it's that compassion that we really have to find, that grace that Angela talks about, accountability. As she said, we're hard hitters. It's absolutely essential that we have high expectations and hold people to those high expectations. Respect. We absolutely need to respect students and teachers and families, and that needs to pervade all of our interactions. Oftentimes we get in this situation where, that trauma that we may be feeling may not allow us that opportunity to understand that people do need respect. The E in CARES there is exquisite execution. Our superintendent is a stickler on that you do the right thing on time, every time. And then the S follows up with servant leadership. So that CARES spells out the way that we're approaching our new work with organizational culture, and especially necessary in this time where things have not been normal.
I'm going to have the board talk about the community culture shift in terms of what they're seeing, but I do want to go ahead and prompt this be thinking about this now, because I want to come back to this, and I think new leaders is a part of this. What sort of things need to be ingrained when it comes to leadership, specific things like you're talking about, where students can kind of get out and have some intervention and some one-on-one time? In other words, what are the things that we need to be thinking about to put in place? Because we are in new times, we are in uncharted territory. And I'm with you, like, I almost feel like whatever I learned, yesterday becomes irrelevant tomorrow, because it's like everything is so constantly in flux and changing. But what are the things that we need to start thinking about to do differently to be able to really help the students and put them first? So I'll come back to that in a second, but talk about on your end, Michelle, Miska, what you're seeing in terms of the culture shift, what you're hearing from the community. What does that look like from a board side? So Miska or Michelle, actually, Michelle, we'll start with you since you're unmuted, and then we'll come back to Miska. So Michelle, take it away.
All right, Jeremy. From the community, I mean, I first and foremost, I'm a mom. I have 4 kids, 3 of whom graduated from Shelby County Schools in 2016, 2020, and 2021. So we have definitely been impacted by this strange time of the pandemic and going to school. And my youngest, she's in 5th grade now at Downtown Elementary. So as far as the community and what I hear from parents who email me and friends and family is that when you hear Reimagine 901, it's like, wow, they're starting to build, like build the dreams. If you build it, they will come. And that belief, they're buying into the belief of like, wow, this is happening. At our most recent board meeting, we, approved millions and millions and millions of dollars because of the federal dollars we received as a result of the pandemic and improving all the air conditioning equipment. And here in the South, in Memphis, Tennessee, where it gets really hot, much of the year, having AC units that are working full time, that impacts learning, because that's what this is all about. Ultimately, we want children to learn. And so I think when you hear about community and reimagining 901 is that there is that hope that I spoke about earlier, that this is really happening. It's not just something that's pie in the sky. It's something that we can see happening. And it's not just at Alcy Elementary. This is a wonderful catalyst, and we want every school to be like that. But I think realistically, we've got to look at it. How can we bring that essence of 21st century learning into every school building, whether it's a brand new building or one that's 100 years old, which is certainly the case. I represent a lot of Midtown and Downtown. We've got Central High School, one of our beautiful old school buildings, but how can we bring that into schools like Central? And so when we talk about what the community is feeling, and they're looking for us to deliver. And it's like, I think they're beginning to realize that it's not just Shelby County Schools. We need the support of our funding body, of the County Commission. We need the support of people who don't even have children within Shelby County Schools to believe and support what we're trying to do for every child, because every child has the abilities to succeed. And we're seeing that with something that we launched prior to the pandemic, where we expanded our universal testing for our gifted learning program. And we increased the number of students by hundreds and hundreds, those who were not qualifying before. So when we say next 21st century learning, is that next level thinking, and how can we apply that so that every child has that ability to succeed at their very best ability. So I think there's that excitement and that a hope in the community.
Nice. Miska, talk about the culture shift from your vantage point.
Absolutely. First, let me just say, because I know Dr. Barker mentioned having a conversation with Mayor Harris. Mayor Harris is actually a graduate of Alcy Elementary. So if you paid attention to him in the video, he was one of the people that was there with us when we did the groundbreaking. So I do want to give him a shout out and just a support around making sure that this project happened. I was just thinking when you said culture and thinking about where we are in 2021 going into 2022, it's December 1st. And it's hard to think about. We are just a few days away from 2022. I've been serving on the board since 2014. Dr. Whitelaw said not to age myself, but I also was a former employee of Legacy Memphis City Schools. I like to think I started working at 18. So then that way, you know, the grays in my hair are just premature from that thought. The reality of it is, I think I'm listening to Dr. Tate and listening to her response around culture in her building, and the fact that she is one of the leaders that we're talking about, that we have to be able to spread what this looks like. I was the board chair for the past 2 years when on the onset of COVID, at the same time dealing with a class of 22 graduating, my son, my only child, and navigating all of these things at the same time. But as the chair, when you are working with 8 other people, there are often times when things that I didn't feel were my personal belief, but I lost out majority wise, I had to move forward with, like going back into the building in March. But I did a check-in with every principal in my district, and Dr. Tate in particular, I remember talking to her like it was week 1. I think it was week 1 or like the beginning of second week, and hearing her tell that story about the fact that she was like, oh no, not only do I have more than I thought, they're showing up every day. And that's a testament to how just the culture around what it means to have a solid leader who understands community, who understands how to build a coalition of people. In my full-time job, I work with new teachers, and they were at Alcy this summer. And I will say her site was one of our highest ranked sites for the summer. That's a testament to what she feels that's important to her around culture, what she feels that's important to her around what it means to build just solid community. And, it's servant leadership. I'm glad John went through the cares and ended it with the fact of servant leadership and what that looks like. So to me, using the word that Michelle used around hope, it's hope, but also just making it a reality and showing what's possible, because we have strong, solid examples, not only just by, building a new building, but we've gone into other communities as well, as I think about the progress of the district since 2014 and made a lot of things possible. Sometimes you forget about progress because if it's not in front of you and we're only thinking about what's present right now. So I don't want that to be lost in the conversation, having served with former Superintendent Hobson and now Dr. Ray, and how he's changed what that looks like as far as, we had several different terminologies, several different terms throughout the times of 2014, but Dr. Ray has taken that on and just saying reimagining 901. And that's just not the building. That is education, that is community as well. And making sure all of that is possible and just living in it every day. And that's how we know it's possible.
I want to be thinking for everyone in a quick soundbite. We'll wrap up with this is how can the community help? So be thinking about that for each one of you as kind of a 30-second soundbite of just how the community can help based on your vantage point. But I do for John and Angela and even Principal Tate, give a little bit of a description, because leadership and how do you kind of scale up the Principal Tates? Like, how do you create this change? Give us a little bit of your vantage point around some of the things that once again, we should be thinking different, doing different. What are some changes we can make? Is it, new leaders is a piece of that? Like, what are the things that we need to be doing to create this change and make it scalable? So Angela, John, give us a little bit of your insight, kind of a quick 30-second soundbite, which I know is impossible, but just, in the interest of time.
So I will. So Jeremy, real quick, I wish I could clone Dr. Tate and all the things about. However, what I am learning is that definitely new leaders, you're in this work with us. So when we thinking about a transformational leader, we think about the book that all of our instructional leadership directors use, and that's Breakthrough Principles. And with Breakthrough Principles, there are about 5 pillars that we concentrate on. We concentrate on personal leadership. You concentrate on talent management. You concentrate on culture and climate. And then you really look at teaching and learning. So when we put all that together in my 30-second soundbite, what I would say that if we are moving and we are transforming this district from intervention to innovation, but to do that, we are very clear again about what's got to be intentional our expectations, and we are walking along with the principals. And Dr. Tate can tell you, I probably used this word quite a bit over the last year, tight. So in our district right now, we're real tight. And the reason that we're tight, because we want to make sure that a child can have the same experience at Alcy, across town at a LaRose, or then around the corner at a Germantown Elementary. Then if you go out to Lucy. So wherever the student is in our district, they have the same experience. So again, transformational leadership, and we're using breakthrough principles.
Yeah. John, elaborate on that, and then we'll wrap up with the community getting involved.
Yeah, love the idea there about, having new leaders as a transformational partner. There's a lot of great resources out there. We really especially appreciate new leaders. I think, as Dr. Tate pointed out, having that cadre, that cohort of people around you and those experiences, and what she was doing is bringing those people in. Leadership matters. Absolutely. You can't say it enough times. Leadership matters. And what happens is, as you bring people in, then the other people, and she described it, and Dr. Tate just is awesome and fantastic, and the team has caught the spirit. But what I know, though, and you guys have experienced this as well, is that when the spirit really catches and that culture is really built and that leadership is rolling, it is like a flywheel. You go back to Jim Collins' good to great. And then, what you want to do is you want to create that in every organization, where that, the new person who comes in there, you think about how a new teacher is acclimated to Alcy Elementary School. There's just going to be a way, and the whole notion of organizational culture, it's like, this is the way we do things around here. And you're modeling that behavior, and you're seeing it all the time. And you think about the things I ran through with the idea of CARES. That's absolutely manifested at Alcy and a lot of other places around the district every day.
So let's wrap up. Let's start, Principal Tate, with you. How can we help? So kind of a quick 30-second wrap up, but how can the community help your efforts?
Definitely community can help by just keep showing up. So here, one thing we do, we have numbers of a lot of our community members. So when we have programs here, we invite them out. They'll come over, drop off water, just to see whatever we need. They're here. If we have a program and we need them to speak on a panel, so Jeremy might call you, might need you to come and speak and talk to the parents about something. We have parent meetings. So we bring like CSA out. We bring other people in the community, other stakeholders in, so they won't just hear that we need them from us, but they're hearing it from the community. So just continue showing up. We have community members who've donated to the school. We have them to adopt us. So just keep showing up for our kids. And together we'll be able to make Alcy the beacon, I've said it before, to beacon of hope in this community, as well as the rest of the community of Memphis.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dr. Whitelaw?
30 seconds. I believe in Dr. Tate, and I believe in her message, but what we need from the community to continue to believe in us, but to continue to spread good cheer about the work that we do here in the city, and call on us. And if it's something that we're doing wrong, just give us a call, because we need great voices about what we do and the support that they have for us in the community, and the love.
John?
Jeremy, I'm going to forever beat the drum on $55 million. You know why? $55 million for 10 years. It's $550 million. That's the amount that we need from the county commission to get Reimagining 901 done. I know people feel like we had a lot of money from ESSER. I know people feel like, it's like, they're flush with cash over there. When we do capital projects, those dollars have to come from one of two places. One, we have to steal it from our kids in our classrooms, which is not, that's a non-starter. Two, we have to get it from the county commission. The county commission this past year, we love them. They're awesome. They're fantastic. We asked for 55 million. They gave us 22. What we're not going to be able to do is build new buildings and envision a new future, reimagining 901 like we've done at Alcy, if they keep giving us 22 million every time we ask for 55. How much is the amount? $55 million a year for 10 years. We need the community's help. We need the community support to make that happen.
That bounces us to the board. Miska?
I'm laughing because really that's John's thing. He's going to remind you of those numbers. For me, it is just understanding we're all in this together. And a former Memphis City School Board member who is still my mentor, she used to say, so goes Memphis City Schools, so goes Memphis. I've changed that to so goes Shelby County Schools, so goes Shelby County. And that's the reality. We all have to look at this work as we're all in this together. If SES is stable, that means Shelby County is stable. And that's the way I think we have to approach this work. And I look forward to that continuing on.
Nice. And then Michelle, board chair, wrap it up.
I agree with all of the above, but we have to believe in our children. This is what it's all about. Believe in them, knowing that they can succeed, knowing that there is tremendous amount of success in Shelby County schools. It's not what you always see in the media, in the news. In fact, the greater majority is not. 99.9% of the children are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They're learning, they want to learn. So believe in the children, think the very best of them, knowing that amazing things can come out of public schools, out of Shelby County schools. So that's my pitch.
Awesome. Well, let's give our audience, our panelists, a big round of applause. We love our panelists. Thank you so much to all of our panelists, not only for your time, but your passion, your purpose, everything you're doing to make our community better. So thank you so much for being a panelist. Thank you everyone for your participation in today's virtual tour of Alcy Elementary and the spotlight on Shelby County schools and new leaders.